touch back on that whole idea of not calling a fascist a fascist. Because, that guy who started whining and bitching and complaining at the beginning of this whole piece here.
They have no idea how ruthless we are. They think they're tough. They have no idea how tough we are. They think that they're hardcore. We are so much more hardcore than they are. And we have the entire weight of the United States government behind us. What do they have? They have nothing behind them. So we are going to win. They're going to lose.
He definitely likes calling people, fascists. This call to activism page put together these, I'd say, 15 different examples of this guy, Stephen Miller, calling folks fascists. They're Democrats. I'm only going to read a couple. The Democrats appointed communist judges in a handful of America's most liberal cities. Those unelected communist judges are now trying to rule over us all and invalidate the 2024 electoral landslide. He's saying this now, but you can't call these guys names. Here's the next one. The Democratic Party is now a fascist party, using corporate and government power to punish dissent and dissenters. Weird how, he's taking this same Nazi playbook of promoting and announcing exactly what it is that they're doing and then heaping that on their enemies, because they're the bloodthirsty fascists. I can't believe they called me a fascist. That's why people get shot, because you guys call us what we are, right after we then promote more violence. This is the third one I'm gonna read. If the key to achieving your agenda is silencing your critics, censoring your opponents, and blaming all dissenters from banishing all dissenters from the public discourse, then your ideas are wrong and you are a fascist. Is it clear yet? So all that whining from Stephen Miller at the beginning about how he's coming to these cities, why would you believe that he has anything to say that makes any sense or is based in any reality if it's obvious that as they're bitching and complaining about someone calling them a fascist as they do fascist, then I think it's pretty clear that they're just doing this to pull the wool over the last 5 people's eyes that don't see it, because all the rest of their supporters are like, yes, fascism. Don't call us that, or else we won't be able to keep operating in plain sight of all this fascism. So don't call us that. Here, help us out here, you guys. You can oppose us, but don't oppose us. I want some more flashbacks. I always want to play this video. I always want to. But I was like, you know what? I think I need to save it sometimes for those moments, since we played it during the campaign, during the last, I think, month or so of the campaign, when it was blown off as if it meant nothing.
What do you think? Do you think he's a fascist?
Well, I'm looking at the definition of fascism. It's a far-right, authoritarian, ultranationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy. So certainly, in my experience, those are the kind of things that he thinks would work better in terms of running America. Again, back to this issue of, democracy is complicated, messy to operate, probably the worst kind of government there is, except for all the other ones. I think Churchill once said that. And again, our Constitution, our founders built in to the Constitution and to the way our government operates, built in a lot of checks and balances, and didn't design the government to be streamlined and whatnot. So, but certainly the former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian. Admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
Even though it took him a long time to get fully around to it. General John Kelly, former chief of staff for Donald Trump, worked right next to him, helped craft policy and approaches that they would take, called him a fascist. That's not new. That was during the campaign. Kamala Harris pointed it out, and they were like, how dare you, Kamala? How dare you say so? Listen to his chief of staff, and you tell me why he's not. You tell me why you hate John Kelly, that Republican general. You know, the worst part is, that's not the only thing John Kelly said about him.
He commented more than once that, that Hitler did some good things too. And of course, if you know history, again, I think he's lacking in that. But if you know what Hitler was all about, it'd be pretty hard to make an argument that he did anything good.
So what would you say when he said to you that Hitler did a lot of good things?
Well, I tell him that. I said, sir, first of all, you should never say that. But if you knew what Hitler was all about from the beginning to the end, everything he did was in support of his racist, fascist life, philosophy, so that nothing he did you could argue was good. It was certainly not done for the right reason. And but he would occasionally say that.
What would he say when you would lay that out to him?
He'd just, that'd be the end of the conversation usually.
See, those types of things used to be taken seriously. That is until, our this country's original basis for its existence of enslaving people in order to get any kind of prosperity had to be based in lowering other people. This is not the first bout of like authoritarianism in this country. It's just authoritarianism was practiced on certain people at different times, indigenous folks, Chinese folks, Italians, black folks. There's authoritarianism all the time. There's all kinds of systemic racism and kinds of things that keep people from having a real foothold in society and living to that American dream that they say makes our country so glorious. But every time now that they're getting pressed with some pushback about how they have no belief system in that, they're getting violent, they're getting authoritarian for over everybody now. I mean, you can be on the good side as long as you kiss our ass and run with the fascism with us. But if you're against fascism, as Donald Trump said, people that are against fascism are now terrorists in the United States of America.